Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of my podcast, Loss, Love, and all the other shit in between. Today, I'm going to be talking about love again. I feel there's a lot more that I can delve into when it comes to love. Now, with love, I called it Love the Sequel. I think I didn't cover all aspects of love. It's not all about me. It's, about what I see in life in general. Now, from the last podcast, I got a new fan, if you want to call it a fan. There was a lot of negativity behind her post. So in a way, I'm kind of dedicating this episode to her. So to Heaven Lee, thank you for watching my last podcast. Hopefully I haven't lost you forever. There was a lot of negativity of what she said that I made her feel ick. But it's constructive criticism, so I don't really take it too negative. It did hurt when I first read it, but I didn't bite. I think a lot of these, keyboard pressers or whatever they're called, they want to get negativity out there, and then they want you to respond, and then it just paints you in the wrong picture. So for me, I just responded, thanks for watching. I do appreciate your kind words, and hopefully I can win you over. She did mention something like, you probably are a nice person. Yeah, she doesn't know me. I don't think she quite understands how, or the premise behind the podcast. The podcast is about me expressing my vulnerabilities and expressing my feelings when it comes to certain subjects. So I think if she watched it from the beginning, she'll see the progression. I didn't want to come across like I'm trying to advertise myself to try and get a date. That was not my purpose of doing it. But I just wanted to express to you what it feels like for a guy that's close to 50, having to start his life again, and then trying to balance his life and try and get in that middle ground and try and get to a certain point in his life where he can be a lot more happier. Now, I'll begin with saying that, I'm loving life. I'm loving the life that I have. I loving the podcast. I love doing the podcast, but at times lately I've been contemplating, feeling like, is it actually worth me doing the podcast? Because I felt there wasn't any value that I was getting from it at times. And I was probably having a down day, you would say, and I was feeling really negative towards what I was doing. But I've had a lot of positive comments, a lot of people that have got in touch with me, telling me to keep going, keep doing what you're doing, it's only going to get better. And I feed from that, and that gives me the energy and it gives me the oomph to want to keep going. So yeah, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully it can add some sort of value to it. And for me, to begin with, it was always about helping other people, and I feel it is helping people. It is helping men to express how they feel, and it's not just helping men. There is a lot of women that are speaking out as well, so it's really good. It's really positive from it. So yeah, I thank you everyone. I thank everyone that is watching, and hopefully they're going to keep watching. So yeah, so with love, yes, there hasn't been much to update you when it comes to relationships. I've had some good times, I've had a few dates, and I've been having some good times, and that's not from the podcast, that's just confidence in myself, and get myself out there a bit more. It's about stepping out of your comfort zone, it's about getting out there in the public. I went to a clairvoyancy evening the other night with my friend Claire, and she's amazing, absolutely amazing at what she does. And I'm getting kind of addicted to it. And I love going, and I love, not in a morbid way, but I like hearing other people's stories and feeling the pain, but then the positivity that Claire then gets out there to people. There were certain elements of the clairvoyancy evening on Wednesday that we were actually clapping at the end of certain readings that she was doing for people, because you just felt this like warmth, in a kind of weird way. It was you felt like they were smiling afterwards. I know I did, because some people came through for me, my best friend Davey, my mum, my brother, my nan, even my father, I was told. But yeah, I just got a funny feeling that it might not be my father. It might have actually been somebody else's father. Because he didn't want to step forward because that individual wasn't there with me. But it was really a really uplifting day. I mean, I enjoyed it so much. And I actually met a new individual. Her name is Sharon, really nice woman. She overheard me and Claire talking about the podcast, where I was giving Claire some shit because she'd only watched the first 2 podcasts. And, you know, there's currently 7, or there will be 7 podcasts up there, with 5 episodes and 2 little small podcasts. But she overheard me talking about the next one I'm going to be doing, which is on mental health. And I'm going to be doing that as it's Mental Health Month. I'm doing mental health while I'm climbing Mount Snowdon next weekend. So next Saturday I'm going to be climbing Mount Snowdon for Men's Minds Matter. And she overheard me talking about the podcast, and then she kind of intervened and she jumped in and she apologized and she wanted to know about the podcast. And since then we've been talking most days, and you know, I've just got really positive comments from her. You know, she's loving the podcast, she's getting addicted to it, she can't stop watching them, and you know, it's really good. So no, I enjoy that. So if I can get that out there, it feels like I'm doing my job and I'm doing what I needed to do. So yeah, so like I said, for a while I've been like contemplating leaving the podcast and leaving it for a while, giving myself a bit of a rest, because I felt, you know, I was taking on too much with work and with the podcast. But you know, I feel like I've got a really good balance with it, and it's kind of working for me. So I'm just going to keep doing it, you know. And I've got plans for future episodes. I've got a few guests lined up, and hopefully that'll come into play in the next few podcasts, and it won't be just me that you're going to see. You're going to see 2, maybe 3 people at a time on the podcast. So it's going to be really good. So yeah, love. Okay, in general, people know my side of the story, and I don't really want to go too much into depth of trying to sell myself and trying to express how much of a good person I really am, and you know, you need to love me and all this kind of stuff, because you know, it's going to be about me most of the podcasts, because again, I'm going to express how I feel and how I see certain elements, because it's my story. You know, I can't talk for everybody, I can only talk for myself. And yeah, I mean, it's still a struggle when it comes to the dating side of things, and yeah, I'm not going to give up on it. I don't think I'm going to give up on myself. You know, I'm going to work on myself. I'm working on my body, like I keep saying, and which is helping my mind. A lot of people pass comments recently if I'd been to therapy. I don't think I'm at that level that I really need therapy. It's just frustration more than anything else. And that's all I was trying to relay out there. I didn't want people to feel that I'm completely messed up and I need help now. I think everyone struggles on a day-to-day basis, but it's how you express that. Again, people bottle that up, they don't express it. And with men, I've mentioned before, they don't want to express that side of things, so they keep it bottled up. And I was saying to Sharon the other day, a lot of men bottle it up, they don't express themselves to their partner, they turn to drink, some of them turn to drugs, and then what happens is all that built up rage and built up tension, it ends up coming out in a different format. And then when that happens, you know, it can turn to violence, it can turn to making a huge mistake that they'll regret for the rest of their lives. So for me, I'm all about expressing myself as and when I need to. People can listen, they don't necessarily have to, but you know, people that I'm around and the certain small circle that I've got now, they want to hear my story, they want to hear how I'm feeling. You know, I'm on the phone every single day with Jay, every day, talking back and forth, and she helps me, I help her, and it's just really good, you know. And that's what friendship's about, and that's what it's, you know, what life is about. It's It's about talking. It's about expressing your feelings. It's about talking about your frustrations and getting it out there. And then people are experiencing certain things. People have got life skills. People have got street smart. You know, they've experienced certain situations that you may have not, and they will give you their advice. You don't necessarily have to take it. But I feel when you love that person and they love you back, you got that kind of expression that you'll take it in, and you'll go, okay, all right, I'll take that in. And then you work through it, you know, and then they want to find out the following day how you've got on with that. So that's what I kind of do in life now. You know, I talk to my kids talk to me. I'm all about communication, and you have to do that in life. You cannot do these certain things by yourself. You know, a lot of people are lonely and they don't have that avenue to be able to release. So with me, my release is on the podcast, and if certain people don't take any positive from it, that's, you know, take what you need to get from it. So yeah, I mean, love in general, it's great. You know, I loving my job at the moment. Job is going really well. You know, people that know me, I've moved on to a secondment. So I've done a secondment on another contract. I'm currently working there 8 to 4, Monday to Friday. Loving the team. There's a great work ethic, a great spirit in there. We have a great time. We have a great laugh as well. The job gets done. And when you're not there, they're missing you. You know, you don't get that everywhere. You know, I'm getting messages every day, when you're coming back, you know, how's your day going? You know, I haven't got that in my previous job. You know, I've been gone for like 2 months, and I went back for one day to do overtime, and they were like, how was your holiday? And I was like, you know, I haven't been on holiday for 2 months. I've been working somewhere else. But people just get so busy within their own bubble that they don't necessarily care what's happening around them. So yeah, loving the job, loving life. Got a certain structure, loving that. You know, going to the gym most weeks, twice a week. I'm eating well, enjoying my shutdown time at the moment. Currently what I'm doing is I'm completely and utterly addicted to the show Ozark. I don't know if anyone's seen it. Wow, what a show. It's taken me a while to get onto it, but you know, my friend's been pushing me continuously to watch it, and loving that as well. Just finished the show Mobland with Tom Hardy. Wow, what a great show as well. Yeah, I've been going to the movies lately. Just watched the latest Karate Kid movie. Really good. Mission Impossible, watched it twice. Watching the new John Wick Ballerina on Sunday. Gonna watch How to Train Your Dragon. That's out this weekend as well, so I've got that coming up. So I'm enjoying that. Yeah, and having plans in place, you know, you've got to have that structure. So for me, knowing, you know, I'm spending time with my niece tomorrow, which I haven't seen her in a while, so I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm going through to Stevenage to go spend the day and evening with an old friend that, you know, I haven't seen him in a few years, and it'd be great to catch up. Spent a lot of time together. We used to play football in South Africa together, and really good friend of mine. So I'm looking forward to spending time with him tomorrow. And yeah, I love life. You know, I love the current format that it's in at the moment. Yes, I would love to share that with somebody else, but you know, that will come. You know, I'm not going to put any pressure on that anymore. I kind of put pressure on myself for so many years, and I think that's what was affecting me more. And because now I love hard, you know, when I go into a relationship or, you know, a situationship, I love really hard because I want to give the love out that I never received. So, and that scares a lot of people. So, but I'm not going to change the way I am. This is what I am. You know, take me as I am. So, yeah, you know, so again, don't want to be talking about that too much. But yeah, so what I've been finding lately, and a lot of stuff that I've been watching with relationships and love, a lot of people seem to be affected from the previous relationships, and that's what life's all about. You get into a relationship, it doesn't quite work out, it ends really negative, and then you go into the next relationship and you take that pain in with you, and if you're not fully healed, you take it into there, and that affects the next relationship, and then in turn that affects the other party, and it's just like a knock-on effect. It's like a dominoes. So you got to be in love with yourself, and you got to be 100% ready to be able to commit into a relationship. And the problem is, because of the age that I'm in now, going into a relationship, you are going to go into a relationship that has baggage. You're going to go into a relationship where it's going to take a bit of time to build that trust, and sometimes people don't have that time. So you got to find that happy medium in any relationship. You got to be ready, 100% committed, and you got to go at their pace the same way they've got to go at your pace. So if you're really fast paced and they're not ready for that, you communicate, you discuss it, and then you say, okay, we need to slow down a little bit. So I'm all for that. I can go at anyone's pace. So I'm going to do that moving forward. I'm not going to commit to something that's not there from the beginning, and then go from there. So yeah, so I'm happy, I'm content, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Now, love has certain different elements to it. There's the love that you have for your family, the love you have for your friends, like I said, your job, life, your hobbies, the favourite team that you love. Mine is Aston Villa. The love you have for them, your love for religion, your people, your nationality, everything. Love is a broad spectrum. So for me, I've got a certain balance, and I know exactly what it is I need, and you've got to set them goals. And I'm going to take life on a day-to-day basis. I'm not going to look so far into the future. I'm never going to forget about the past. Never, ever going to forget about the past, because it's kind of built me into the person I am today. The losses that I've had, which I covered in previous podcasts, mainly episode 2, when it came to loss, that's gave me the character, it's gave me the strength through adversity, and I've kind of got through that. But it's always going to be there. It's never going to leave. It's been 10 years now, and that is a long time, and it's taken up to this time to build the different steps and the different parts of my life. Certain people can get over it a lot quicker, and there's certain people that never get over it, and you never do. I got emotional earlier on when I was busy working on what I was going to be talking about in the podcast, and I was going through certain thing, and I was going through some test runs, and my little brother came up again. I got a bit emotional. That will never change. So for me, the love I have for my family, that will never happen. I mean, I don't speak to my family that often anymore, and a lot of them I don't speak to at all. But the love I have for my family, that will never change. I can't control what certain family members think about me, and that's their opinions, that's their life. They've got to live with that. They've got to live with them demons, and that's down to them. But I'm not going to change who I am. I've made mistakes in my life. I hold my hands to that. But there's only so much you can apologize for. There's only so many things that you can do to rectify that. But you just get to a certain point in your life anymore that you don't necessarily feel that you have to work on it. I don't feel I need to express who I am anymore with regards to that. Take me as I am, and that's the way it is. I'm always about building bridges, but it gets to a certain point in your life where if you're the one that's always having to initiate get-togethers, you're the one that has to always travel to them all the time, it gets to a certain point in your life where you're realizing, wait a minute, why do I always have to take that step? I've been at my property now for over 5 years, and certain individuals have only ever been to my house once, and other individuals have never been. But I'm always doing the traveling, so that gets a bit frustrating. And the only sad thing about it is that the main people that lose out on this is the kids. My kids miss out on you know, seeing their auntie, seeing their uncle. My kids miss out on that whole family element. And yeah, that's sad. It is sad, but there's nothing I can do about that. You know, I can only do what I can, and that's the end of it. So, you know, I'm going to build bridges. I'm going to sort certain things out, because I feel if I don't do something about it, then it will never change. So, yeah, life is tough. But, you know, every day's, you know, a constant reminder, of what you've lost, certain things you're missing in your life. And, you know, if you get caught in that element where you're continuously thinking of what you need and what you had, yeah, that's when it gets a bit dark. So I try and stay clear of that. I know what it is I need to progress in life, and I'm going to work on that. And a lot of that is working on myself. So I'm educating myself in certain elements that I feel will benefit the podcast, educating myself to progress within the workplace. I'm learning new elements that I can maybe take into work to make work more smarter, make it more easier. Because that's what it's about. Like, you know, you do certain things in life to make your life easier. So that's what I'm trying to do. So yeah, so with the podcast, it's going really well. The views are, you know, they're getting higher and higher. I've reached certain targets already on Spotify and YouTube. I'm currently over 650 hours worth of my podcasts have been watched so far, which is crazy, unbelievable. So thank you to everybody out there that's been watching. And yeah, thank you for the kind words. You're the reason why I keep doing it. And at the clairvoyance evening the other day, Claire kind of plugged my podcast a couple of times, which it was a bit surreal. It came through a negative nature with regards to somebody that, you know, has have some mental issues, mental health issues, and then she ended up plugging the podcast. Maybe they need to get in contact with you, Sean. Maybe they need to watch your podcast. And that was really positive from that element. You know, I love that. So thank you. But yeah, so next one's going to be mental health. With it being Mental Health Month, I'm going to be discussing that and certain issues that I've had and how I've taught myself how to stay positive through the pain and the loneliness, and how I've dealt with that. You know, and I deal with it on a day-to-day basis. You know, some days I come home and I'm coming home to an empty house and you miss that conversation. Sometimes I know I'm on my own and it's kind of weird, but I'll just come in and go, hey honey, I'm home. It's sad, but you know, it just adds that kind of fun nature to it, that I know I'm on my own. So therefore, you know, you got to take the funny side of it. You know, a lot of people strive to be on their own at times. You know, they're going through a toxic relationship or a torrid time, and you know, and they would love to be on their own or a little bit of free time. Yes, within, you know, a small bit. Trust me, you don't want to go 6 years. You don't want to go through that element. That's far too long for anybody to go through that. But a little bit of me time is good. Don't get me wrong, it is really good. A little bit of shutdown time. But yeah, you just got to have that balance. And yeah, the relationships, yeah, they're tough. Yeah, they're tough to get that, you know, get to where it was. You know, I've had a lot of relationships in my time, and you know, a lot of positives, a lot of negatives from it. But, you know, I look more towards the positive side of things. The life lessons, you know, when you get a negative element that happens or a breakup, you learn from it, you learn from your mistakes, and then you move on. And when you move into the new relationship, you've got them red flags, all right? And then that opens that discussion, you know, that opens that avenue to discuss with your partner, whoever it may be, and discuss that these certain things have happened in my past and I want to stay clear of them. And they'll go, oh wow, okay, I had that in my previous relationship as well. And it opens that avenue for conversation. You know, what I find with relationships is anybody can sell themselves. You know, these bios and dating sites, it is like a job interview, right? People can lie on their CV nowadays. I don't feel a lot of people are looking at the education side of things anymore. You know, it used to be so strict at the beginning. When you put your education, there was a way of them finding out if the education was real. I feel a lot of people are now either taking that element out or they're adding it in there, and I don't feel anybody's actually going to and finding out if they actually have that as a qualification. So when it comes to an interview, you can sell yourself, right? So when you're in a relationship, a lot of men and women as well, I'm guessing, they can talk a good talk and they can sell themselves. But you'll always get caught out, right? The truth will always come out. So, you know, you can lie in an interview that you've covered certain elements, you know, you're taking stuff off certain streaming sites of the best things to say about your weaknesses and strengths and weaknesses. But once you're in the job and you're doing your actual job, you'll get caught out because it'll be seen that you've got no experience at all and you run the risk of losing your job. And that's the exact same thing when it is with relationships. If you go in there with false pretenses and you're lying, you will get caught out. And you will get caught. And when you get caught, you've got a chance and you've got a risk of losing that relationship and risk losing that individual that could be the best thing in your life. So why bullshit? You know, you've got to be honest right from the get-go. You have to be honest with that individual. You know, why lie? Why cheat? Why do all that kind of stuff? You know, if you are even contemplating cheating or contemplating not staying with them, be honest with them from the get-go. Why lie? You're not going to benefit from it. So for me, I'm an open book. So I'll tell you what I'm looking for, and I answer any question. I've always said to people, ask me anything you want. I'm an open book, and I'll tell you straight away what it is. And I'll say to you, look, I haven't had that experience. I don't really know. I'm not going to bullshit because, you know, like I said to you, you'll get caught out. So, yeah, so I don't know where I'm going relationship-wise. I generally don't. I think the dating sites are going okay. But it then becomes a game. It becomes a left-right, swipe left, swipe right. You match. And the conversation just ends. It's very dull. Nothing happens. It never progresses. They unmatch you unmatch them, you move on to the next one. To me, it is like a topsy-turvy kind of game when it comes to that. So I think I'm going to take a side berth when it comes to dating sites. I think I'm going to give them a miss for a while. I don't think it works. I think it comes with a lot of negativity. Nobody can really come off photographs. Nobody can really come off of what they've typed. You know, a lot of people can take that off the internet, copy and paste it into their bio. A lot of it's fake. I don't think it's genuinely real, most of it. People can easily try and sell themselves and in a certain way. No, just be honest, be yourself, be your true self, and I believe the right person will come along. So where do I go from here? I'm just going to keep living life. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep going out. I'm meeting new people every day. Work's going really well. Building relationships there. Meeting up with old friends. I've got a few things lined up soon. I've got the climb next week, like I said. Going to be climbing Mount Snowdon with 100 people. And in my group, there's 40, I believe, that we're going to be going up at the same time I'm going to be going up. So in that time, you're going to be talking to these individuals. You're going to make new friends. You're going to meet women. You're going to meet guys. You know, it depends, you know, your choices. Yeah, make new friends in different areas. Go visit them afterwards. Go on different walks. You know, that's what life's about, right? It's to get out there. So that's what I'm going to be doing from now on. And very positive outlook when it comes to life. I know a lot of people seem to think that I've been negative lately. I've not been. I'm just telling you the way it is. I'm telling you what I need and what I need to progress with regards to the podcast. So yeah, just pure uplifting from now on. I'm just going to stay clear of all negativity and just stay within a positive mindset. I'm going to start going to Reiki, working on crystals, exploring my spiritual side, because that's something I'm really interested in. So I want to go down that avenue when I get a little bit extra money. I'm going to start going down that avenue and working with Claire more closely. She's going to be a guest of mine, hopefully episode 7, episode 8. And we're going to cover other elements of loss and love, and from her perspective, and I'm going to feed from that, and it's going to be a really good podcast, I feel. So yeah, so this one's a bit of a topsy-turvy one. I didn't want to just solely concentrate on love when it comes to relationships. I'm talking about love in life, and loving the person, and loving yourself. You got to love yourself. I always say that, and I said to a few friends lately, I said, look, you got to wake up every morning, you got to look in that mirror, and you got to give yourself a high five. You got to, give yourself that positivity from the get-go. No matter what time you get up in the morning, sometimes you get up, you don't feel like getting up. There is a struggle at times. Most people get out of bed, they want to turn up late for work, they don't care about their life. But, life goes on, all this negativity and death and loss, and problems and stresses and money issues. It's not going to go away. It's always going to be there. But you got to have that positive outlook, and you got to know who to turn to and who to talk to. So what I tend to do is I look at certain elements that I'm not happy with in my life. I write it down in my journal. Doing a journal right now, and I take a lot of positivity from it, and from that I work on each individual thing. A lot of people try and juggle like 27 things at once, and what actually happens is certain things fall at the waistline, and then what happens is you fall behind on something, and then it becomes a bigger issue. And like my friend M at work will always keep telling me, he'll always say, Sean, deal with the issue right now, stop putting it off. And I used to be like, no, I'll deal with it soon. And you keep putting it off. What actually happens is it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That hole gets bigger, and you struggle to get out of that hole. So I've been in certain parts of my life where I've fallen so deep within certain issues that I felt there was no way of me getting out of that. And with friends like Jay and M and D, they've helped me immensely in my life over the last few years, and I'll always be eternally grateful for them. And they're probably going to start charging me friend fees from now on, and as I'm getting more and more famous, they're going to want to claim some money off me soon. But no, thank you to everybody involved in my life. It's been a great ride so far, and yeah, just upwards and onwards, right? If you're at the bottom, the only way is up, right? To go further down, that's not a place that I generally want to stay at. So yeah, relationships as such, yeah, I think people see me for who I am, and you can't make people love you, you can't make people want to date you or go out for dinner with you. I'm all about relationships, and I'm always about friendships and everything else. So for me, going out for dinner, it's not going to do anyone any wrong. We're going to go out, spend some quality time together, get to know each other on a different level. Even if it is just friendship, it's just quality time together. I don't see that as being a negative thing. Certain individuals will see that as make it worse for you by spending time together. I don't generally think that. So if that's their way of dealing with certain things, then so be it. I had a big circle of friends I had on Facebook, and what actually happens is they're not really your friends, and you tend to have so many people looking into your life. I'd rather shrink that circle down. So lately I ended up deleting like 250 friends on Facebook because there was no interaction, there was nothing happening there. And even though we've been friends for many, many years, I felt there was nothing there. There was no point of them, getting to see my life, and they weren't adding any value to me. So I just felt, move on from it, take them off my Facebook. There was no reason for them to be on there. And then you have a smaller circle, and that smaller circle, you get a lot more coming from them, positive stuff from them, and I'm all about positivity, so I'd rather do that. So yeah, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and keep going, and that's what it's all about. So the podcast as a whole, I'm loving it. I genuinely am loving it. And I watch a lot of documentaries on it, and I was saying that podcasts are given up on all the time. So many people go in with this false expectation that they're going to go in there and going to get 1 million views and 1 million people watching them. That takes time. That takes a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of effort. And, for me, I'm not needing to get to that level. I would love that. Of course I would. But it's not about the numbers. It's just about, even if it's just getting to that one individual and it's helping that one individual, then I've done my job. And that's what I've been doing. And it has been reaching individuals. And slowly but surely, more people are coming in, and a lot of them are coming outside my circle, which is great. And Jay always said to me that she said that, Sean, I feel, and like I mentioned before, Gabriel was saying, Sean, I've got a funny feeling that it's not going to be in your friend circle that are going to progress this podcast. It's going to be somebody outside your circle that are going to help you. So I'm trying to aim to them, and I'm aiming for that. So with Sharon, it's started watching the podcast. That's somebody outside my circle who's forming to come into the circle. So really, really good. So I thank everybody. I thank everybody that's watched so far. And I mentioned it on one of my posts lately. A lot of people seem to think it's all about clicking on YouTube. You click on a YouTube video, you put it on in the background for about a minute, you come back in, you come out of the podcast, you go back to EastEnders and Married at First Sight and everything else that everyone's addicted to, and they think, right, I've done it, I've done my support. What that actually does, it affects the algorithm. So I've got certain individuals that will watch my podcast from start to finish, and it records that whole time it's been watched, and that's recorded. The next person comes in and they watch it for 30 seconds to a minute. That knocks the 45 right down. So, and then the next person, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 9 minutes. And that 45 minute gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And then it's looked upon that I'm not getting many views. So I'm not saying I want anybody that's just going in there and clicking for 5 minutes. I'm not interested. I don't want you clicking on it. That's far from it. I'm not massive big head. You watch what you need to watch, and you take from it what you need to take from it. But I would love people to actually watch it from start to finish, and they will see how it's progressing and how good it can be and how good it will be, and it's only going to get better, and that's all I'm going to keep doing. So yeah, so I'm going to do my ending soon. I've got some motivational thing when it comes to love. I've been writing that for the last week, 2 weeks. I've been writing it, and every day coming home from work, I've been putting little elements to it, certain elements that I've heard, certain elements that I've read, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of powerful. Let me see if I can adapt it and see if I can work it into something that I want to put together. So I do spend a lot of time on the ending, and a lot of people might feel they watch the start of the podcast, it's not progressing the way they want it to. They don't actually get to see the ending. They don't get to hear what I've put together. I was actually contemplating putting a few of my songs through. Recorded a demo many years ago, and it's not embarrassing. It's how I've progressed. A lot of the lyrics and stuff that I used to write when I was younger, you could see But that progression, I always go back to my lyrics. I used to walk around with a lyric book. Yes, I'm not Slim Shady. I'm not anywhere near that kind of caliber, not even, a smidgen, but they're the types of artists that I loved growing up. So I love my music. I generally do love music, and I love artists that I've been listening to for years. And one of them is obviously Eminem. But I used to write songs many many years ago, and I used to walk around with a lyric book as well. And I'd always get ideas, either it be poetry or it would be music. I would write it down. Back then we didn't really have recorders as such, so and yes, I'm prehistoric, so we didn't have the mobile phones that had the certain apps that you've got now. We didn't have apps back in the days. The games we only had was Snake, and then you'd have like solitaire games and stuff like that, and so there wasn't that kind of recording element to it. So a lot of it was handwritten, and I prefer handwritten. I prefer, when I used to write my lyrics, was to handwrite them, because I always feel when you write them down, you structure them in a certain way. When you do a recording, when you go back to it at a later time, you don't know how you structured it before. So I was thinking, to get one of my own lyrics, one of my old songs. I mean, I'm not going to rap it, I'm not going to sing it, but I was going to, do the words for that. So certain elements I've used, certain parts of my lyrics, certain things I've put into, I won't tell you which ones are my lyrics, but I've put them into certain things that I want to put at the end of the podcast. And then I'll bring in some of my old poetry and start pushing that through as well, because I've got a love for poetry. That certain element of the love that I give to somebody, a lot of it is through poetry, and a lot of it is through music that I used to write and the music I listen to. So as I was saying with love, it's certain elements. Like I said, the love I have for music is second to none. The music my mum loved was a totally different avenue to what I listen to. But when you get to a certain age, you appreciate all forms of music. There's some days I feel like listening to Sinatra, so I'll listen to Sinatra. Other days I'll whack on Blue. There's certain elements. I remember there's certain artists that are linked to people that I loved, relationships, certain relationships. I know the person that's linked to Blue because it was a certain part in my life. Then my wife was linked to Boyz II Men. It was an artist that we both loved, a group that we loved. We listened to Boyz II Men all the time. So, On Bended Knee, End of the Road. And the kind of weird thing is, when you go back to them songs, if you go back to listen to the lyrics of End of the Road, you always saw it as a beautiful song, a love song, and it was beautiful. But when your relationship ends and you listen to certain songs, the words kind of resonate with your life. And that's what music's about. They're expressing the love that they lost and the love that they have for certain individuals. And you just take it as a song. When you're in a certain high plane in your life, you listen to End of the Road and you think it's a beautiful song. There was a reason why it was 18 weeks or 21 weeks. It was number one in the UK and worldwide. But when you go through a breakup and you listen to that, you listen to the words, and On Bended Knee, and then with Blue, One Love, sorry seems to be the hardest word. You listen to that. I mean, I love the group Chicago, Peter Cetera. Love his voice. Beautiful, beautiful artist. I love his music. And you listen to songs from Chicago and you're like, wow, that covers that breakup and it covers that breakup. My current one is Mike. My favorite artist in the world right now is Mike. If anyone hasn't listened to Mike, the last 2-3 years, Mike has always been my number one artist in Spotify. And I didn't even know Mike who was. It was, when you got a love for another artist, you're listening to the artist and then it jumps to a track that's very similar. And I think I was listening to Chris Webby, and I love Chris Webby, and it jumped to Mike for some reason. And I went, oh, wow, okay, who's that artist? And then I listened to Mike. And then when you're going through a relationship or a situationship, you that point in your life, you listen to that artist, Ed Sheeran, all these types of artists, and that's what happens. And then when you revisit, and that's when people say, I'm not going to listen to that song again. My wedding song was Casey and JoJo all my life. Beautiful song. But I struggle to listen to it now because it brings up certain painful memories of what I've lost. And as beautiful as the song is, and I do, and when Shane Ward covered All My Life by Casey and JoJo, loved it. But you can't listen to it anymore because it's a song that represents something that happened in your life. It was the happiest time of your life back then, but now it's seen as a negative one, so you stay clear of it. Because then it gets really sentimental, and then you start envisioning stuff that you've lost when it comes to relationships. So you get in that kind of mood and you'll listen to Blue, and I love Blue. I mean, I don't care. I love artists, New Kids, The Doors, Jimi Hendrix, Deep Purple, wide variety of music, and I love hip hop. Hip hop and R&B has always been speed garage. I like a bit of jungle. The love I have for different varieties of music. It depends the kind of mood you're in. That's why you got Spotify and things like that. So you just go, right, what am I going to listen to? And it got to the point where I had, and sorry, this is totally off subject, but it's still a love. It's still love for music, right? I ended up getting Alexa for my car. Alexa was released as an instrument you use in your car, and I actually had Alexa in my car. So while you're in your car, you go, Alexa, play this song. Alexa, what's the weather? So you would plug Alexa in the car. It's crazy. So I've still got that. I just don't use it in my BM. So not anymore, because of the sound system I've got in my BMW is second to none. So I don't necessarily need to have Alexa in there. But I'll be driving and going, what do I fancy? All right, what kind of mood I'm in? I'm in a Bublé mood. Play some Michael Bublé. And I'll play that, or I'll play the Beatles, because I love the Beatles. Oh man, the Beatles, wow, greatest band ever. So yeah, certain elements of your relationships, to me, I use music. It's how I express my love, is through music. So yeah, so I'm going to be working on certain things coming up, and yeah, so hopefully this one was okay. A lot of people probably thought I was just going to be, I need love, I need a relationship, and I need to be with somebody. I don't need somebody to complete me. One day I'll have that opportunity to showcase me as an individual, and when that opportunity comes, I'm going to take it with both hands. I'm going to hold it tightly, and I'm going to work on it. So yes, so thank you to everybody that's here today. This one was a bit delayed. The next podcast will be on Father's Day. I'm going to be releasing the mental health one on Father's Day. Probably not the best day to do it, but I am a father, and it's my day. It's my podcast, and it's going to be the day after the climb of Snowdon. So it's going to be a 6-7 hour walk. So it's going to be tough, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to rise to the challenge. I'm doing it for my little brother. The amount of pain my little brother went through, the pain I'm going to go through for 7 hours, that's not going to even touch the tip of what he went through. So I'm doing that, and even when it gets tough, and when I'm coming down the mountain at midnight, or coming down the mountain at 10-11 o'clock in the evening, it's going to be dark, scary, daunting, but I'm going to have some lovely, amazing people from Men's Minds Matter, and we're all going to be working together. We're going to build a brotherhood, a sisterhood. There's a lot of women that's going to be doing it as well. So we're going to build, a tight group, and it's going to be real good fun, and in a negative way. But from the negativity, I feel a lot of positive will come from it. And we're going to build relationships and bonds. We've already done that already through WhatsApp. We've got a WhatsApp group. All 100 people are in the WhatsApp group. It might be around about 85 now, but the positive news that's coming through, and people are saying, their life stories, and people are helping each other. Certain people didn't reach their target of the charity money, so everyone's helping each other. People are then going, put it on the WhatsApp group, and everybody goes in, even if it's just £1. Every bit helps. It all goes to the charity, and we're going to help try and stop any future issues when it comes to men's suicide. So if we can help one individual to stop them from taking that jump, that leap, then we've done what we need and what we set out to do. So yes, positivity, people, that's what life is all about. And for all the negative that's in the world right now, let's just love each other, man. I don't understand it. If there was more love, there'd be no war. People, all this power struggle, people trying to prove they're better than the other person, and that's what it's like in relationships, and that's what it's like all the time. People competing, even in the animal world. This person wants to take over, the lion kingdom. They're trying to take over, so they've got to prove their manhood, prove that they're stronger. Guys, let's just get along. Let's just help each other. Let's just enjoy what we have. Let's enjoy life. Life is just one big fucking struggle, and I ain't living like that anymore. So yeah, guys, come on, please help me to help others. Let me help you. Whatever I can do, even if it's like removals, if it's sorting out your garden. I've done gardens before. I used to do landscape gardening. So let me help you. You need help in your garden. You need help getting rid of rubbish. You need stuff taken down to the dump. You need help painting and decorating. You're moving home and you need somebody to help you with your boxes. Give me a shout, man. If I can fit you into my extremely busy schedule, obviously I'll help you. I'm always about helping people. It's not just about helping people get out of their dark places. That's a lot of stress for individuals. So yeah, guys, come on, let's just help each other. There's a reason why we're together. There's a reason why there's so much struggle out there. Let's fucking help each other, man. Come on. Fuck it. All right, so I'm going to get down to the nitty gritty. So I'll finish on this. So thank you. Stay safe and enjoy life. All right, so thank you. There's a kind of love that changes you, not because it fixes you, but because it meets you. Not because it rescues you, but because it recognizes you. Like it looks you in the eye and says, I see you and I'm not going anywhere. Most people go their whole lives chasing something that feels like that. And along the way, we settle. We bend, we break, we silence parts of ourselves to make almost loves work. We convince ourselves that a little love is better than none, that a half love is good enough for now. But deep down, you know it's not, because something in you, your spirit, your soul, knows the truth. There is a love meant just for you, a love that fits your rhythm, a love that feels like home, a love that doesn't confuse you, but clarifies everything. And if you've ever sat alone wondering, will it ever be my turn? If you've ever watched the world move around you, couples holding hands, people falling into arms that seem to know how to hold them, and thought, what about me? Let me tell you something. You need to hear this today. Your turn is coming. And more than that, you're worth the wait. Because real love doesn't rush. It doesn't chase. It arrives right on time. Not a minute too late. Not a minute too soon. But here's the thing they don't always tell you. Before you meet real love, you will meet lessons. You will meet heartbreak that teaches you how strong your heart really is. You will meet silence that teaches you the sound of your own breath. You will meet people who don't know how to stay, so that when somebody finally does, you understand the value of it. You'll go through the ache, the waiting, the rebuilding, the moments where you wonder if something must be wrong with you, because why hasn't it happened yet? But let me say this as clearly as I can. Nothing is wrong with you. You're not too broken to be loved. You're not too much. You're not too late. You've simply outgrown the kind of love that doesn't honor your depth. Because once you start seeing yourself clearly, once you stop settling for what's convenient and start choosing what's true, love has to rise to meet you where you are. And when it finally does, everything changes. When real love arrives, it's not flashy. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't rush in with drama and noise. It settles in, gently, steadily, quietly, almost, but powerfully. And it brings with it peace. Not excitement that drains you, not highs that crash into lows, but peace that fills you from the inside out. A steady warmth in your chest, a calm knowing, I don't have to fight anymore. I don't have to pretend. I can rest. Real love is not about losing yourself in someone. It's about finding yourself more clearly beside them. It's not about completing you. You were never incomplete to begin with. It's about amplifying you, reflecting back the best parts of who you are, loving the parts you thought no one could ever hold. This love, it will feel different. It won't trigger your need to prove anything. It won't make you wonder where you stand. It won't keep you guessing, because real love is clear, always. It looks you in the eye and says, you don't have to be perfect. Just be here, be real, be you, and I will be with you. It chooses you, not once, but every fucking single day. And that consistency, that commitment, that safety, it will change your life. Because suddenly you'll start to trust again. You'll laugh deeper, you'll breathe easier, you'll stop looking over your shoulder wondering if love is going to leave, because this time you'll know it's staying. You'll stop shrinking, you'll start rising, because you feel seen, supported and cherished. You'll stop apologizing for being too much, because finally you will be with someone who sees your too much as a gift, not as a burden. And you'll realize this is what it means to be loved for real. So here's the truth. If you've already found that love, treasure it, protect it, nourish it. Don't take it for granted, because it's not just a relationship. It's a sacred connection, a partnership between souls who were always meant to find each other, even if it took years. And if you haven't found it yet, don't give up. Don't give in to the voice that says it's too late. Don't shrink your standards just to fill the silence. Because the longer you wait for the right, the less willing you'll be to entertain wrong. Hold out, hold strong, and stay open. Because when love finally arrives, when it truly comes, it will come with such clarity, such strength, such deep, unwavering presence, that you will look back on every lonely night, every tear, every false start, and you'll whisper to yourself, it was worth it. Because this is what you were waiting for. The love that makes you softer, not harder, braver, not smaller. A love that wraps around your soul like it was always meant to be there. And the truth is, it was. Real love doesn't show up when you're perfect. It shows up when you're ready, even if you don't feel ready. When your heart is open, your guard is down, and your soul finally says, okay, I'm done surviving. I'm ready to feel safe. I'm ready to be loved for real. So if you're standing at the edge of that love now, lean in. And if you're still waiting, hold your ground, because your story isn't over. Your heart isn't done. And love is still coming for you. And when it arrives, it feels like peace. It'll feel like home. It will feel like everything you've been carrying for years can finally be set down. And you'll know this is it. This is real. And it's mine. Thank you. Ciao.